Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk all about Roosevelt 1 dimes and why these coins are so important and so valuable for collectors and coin enthusiasts. If you have Roosevelt dimes in your pocket change, in your coin jars, or tucked away in your old collections, then make sure you stay with me and watch this entire video from beginning to end, because you may be holding onto coins that are worth much more than just 10 cents. These Roosevelt 1 dimes can carry hidden value, rarity, and history that many people don't even realize. And throughout this video, I'll be explaining everything you need to know, so you don't miss out. So before we get started, take a quick moment and hit that subscribe button right now, because by subscribing, you'll always stay updated on valuable coins, rare dimes, and important information that can help you identify treasures in your own collection. Stay tuned, because this video is packed with details that could make a huge difference if you own Roosevelt 1 dimes. Let's get started. First up, the 1976 Roosevelt 1 dime with the D mint mark is one of those coins that many people overlook in their pocket change, but it holds much more significance than most realize. While the face value of the Roosevelt dime is only 10 cents, the 1976 Roosevelt dime with the D mint mark can actually be valuable to collectors, depending on its condition, strike, and historical context. This coin was minted in Denver in 1976, a year that already carries a lot of historical importance because of the United States bicentennial celebrations. While quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins from 1976 received special bicentennial designs, the Roosevelt dime continued with its classic design. But this fact makes the 1976 D Roosevelt dime even more fascinating, because it represents continuity during a year when so much attention was focused on other coins. Collectors value this dime not only because of its association with 1976, but also because of the potential for rarity and hidden value depending on the specific coin in hand. When you look at a 1976 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark, you are looking at a coin that was struck at the Denver Mint, and that mint mark gives the coin its unique identity. Many people think all dimes are the same, but mint marks can make a big difference in collectability and value. A dime from 1976 with no mint mark, struck in Philadelphia, has a different story than one from Denver with the D mark. Collectors often seek examples from every mint, and the Denver coin can be valuable, especially in high-grade condition. Over time, circulation wears coins down, so finding a sharp, bright, well-preserved 1976 D Roosevelt dime can be challenging, and that's why such coins are worth more than face value. The 1976 Roosevelt dime carries the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, a design that has been used since 1946 to honor the president who helped lead America through the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse is the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Even though this design looks familiar, each year of issue can carry its own special value because collectors want complete date and mint mark sets. The 1976 D Roosevelt dime fills an important spot in that series, and coin collectors are willing to pay more for examples that are sharp and attractive. While the coin was struck in large numbers, not every coin survived in good condition, and that's why individual examples can be valuable. Another important point to note about the 1976 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark is that errors and varieties can exist. During minting, small mistakes sometimes occurred, leading to coins with double dies, off-center strikes, or other unusual features. Collectors love these error coins, and even a common dime can suddenly become valuable if it shows a minting anomaly. So when you check your 1976 D Roosevelt dimes, it's worth looking closely, because there could be hidden value right in your hand. Some errors are rare, and rarity always drives up demand and price among collectors. Condition plays a huge role in determining the value of a 1976 D Roosevelt dime. Coins that circulated heavily and show wear are worth less, while coins that were saved early and remain bright, with sharp details, are far more desirable. A coin in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition is significantly more valuable than a worn piece. Collectors often pay close attention to the shine, the strike quality, and whether the coin has any scratches or marks. A 1976 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark that is nearly flawless can be considered a premium example and can sell for far more than just a dime's face value. This is why collectors emphasize condition, and why you should never underestimate the potential of coins in your collection. Beyond condition, the history and connection to the bicentennial year of 1976 gives this dime added appeal. Even though the dime did not receive a special design that year, owning a 1976 D Roosevelt dime ties directly to an important time in U.S. history. Collectors of bicentennial coins often also want to include the dime from that year, and that increases demand. Many people focus on the quarters, halves, and dollar coins of 1976, but the dime holds a quieter, unique place in the series, and serious collectors know that it is worth paying attention to. It's also important to remember that the 1976 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark was struck in a composition of copper nickel, with no silver content for circulation strikes. However, even without silver, the coin's collectible value can rise due to rarity in condition or error types. Sometimes people assume only silver coins are valuable, but modern copper-nickel coins like this dime can also command a premium, especially as time goes on and high-grade examples become scarcer. The key is that collectors are not just looking at metal content but at rarity, quality, and demand in the market. If you have a 1976 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark, the best thing to do is to carefully check its condition and keep it safe if it looks sharp and well preserved. You never know how much more valuable it could become in the future as collectors continue to seek out these coins. Even now, coin dealers and enthusiasts are interested in building complete Roosevelt dime sets, and every year is needed, including 1976. That means your dime could have more value than you expect. So the next time you come across a dime dated 1976 with a D mint mark, don't overlook it. These coins are valuable, and collectors care about them. Whether it is for the historical significance, the mint mark identity, the condition, or possible error varieties, the 1976 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark deserves attention. Many people pass them by, thinking they are just ordinary change, but the truth is that these coins carry hidden value, and holding on to them could be a smart choice. The bottom line is simple. The 1976 Roosevelt 1 dime with D mint mark is a coin that is worth far more than its face value in the right condition. It connects to a meaningful year in American history. It plays an important role in the Roosevelt dime series, and it has the potential to be highly collectible. That is why this coin is valuable. And that is why you should always check your change carefully. Collectors are looking for these coins, and if you have one in excellent condition, you may be surprised at just how valuable your 1976 D Roosevelt dime really is. Next up, the 1991 Roosevelt 1 dime with the P mint mark is a coin that at first glance seems like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but it actually carries much more significance than most people realize. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint in 1991, this Roosevelt dime represents both historical value and collectible potential. While its face value is only 10 cents, the 1991 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark can be worth far more, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Many people overlook this coin because they see it as common change, but when you look closely, you will understand why this particular dime is valuable and why collectors pay attention to it. The design of the 1991 Roosevelt dime is the same classic design that has been in use since 1946. On the obverse, we see the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, honoring the president who led America through the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse, we see the torch, the olive branch, and the oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. Even though the design is familiar, every year and every mint mark adds a unique place in the Roosevelt dime series. The 1991 P Roosevelt dime is especially important because the Philadelphia Mint's coins are always sought after by collectors who want a complete full date and mint mark sets. For someone building a complete Roosevelt dime collection, the 1991 dime with the P mint mark is absolutely necessary, and that demand adds to its value. The 1991 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark was struck in copper nickel, not silver, but that does not mean it is not valuable. While earlier dimes contained silver, modern dimes like the 1991 P are collectible for reasons beyond metal content. Collectors focus on strike quality, condition, rarity, and high grades, and whether a coin has special varieties or errors. Even though millions of dimes were produced in 1991, not all of them survived in excellent condition. Most circulated heavily, and circulation causes wear, scratches, and loss of detail. Finding a sharp, lustrous, and well-preserved 1991p dime is far more difficult than many people realize, and that is why these coins can be valuable. One of the most important factors for the 1991 Roosevelt dime is its condition. Circulated examples with heavy wear are worth less, but uncirculated or nearly uncirculated coins are highly desirable. Collectors pay close attention to details like the shine of the coin, the sharpness of a strike, and whether there are any distracting marks. A 1991p Roosevelt dime in pristine condition can be worth much more than face value because collectors are always searching for high-grade examples. Many people unknowingly spend these coins without realizing how much more they could be worth if preserved. That is why it is important to check your change carefully and set aside any dimes from 1991 with the P mint mark that looks sharp and bright. Another reason the 1991 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark is valuable is the potential for error coins. During the minting process, mistakes can happen, and these errors make coins unique and highly collectible. Some examples of errors include double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Collectors love these varieties because they are rare and unusual, and even a common dime can become valuable when such errors are present. This is why it is always a good idea to look closely at your 1991 P Roosevelt dimes. You may think you have just an ordinary coin, but you could be holding something rare and valuable without even knowing it. When discussing the 1991 Roosevelt dime, it is also important to remember the historical context. The early 1990s represent a time when coin production was transitioning with new technologies, and the Philadelphia Mint was producing huge numbers of coins for circulation. But despite the large mintage, finding top-quality pieces today is much harder than expected. Collectors understand that over time, high-grade coins become scarcer as most examples circulate, get damaged, or are lost. This is what drives up the value of coins like the 1991 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark, because not every coin survives in the condition collectors want. The market for Roosevelt dimes is strong because they are widely collected. Many people like to build complete sets, and that means they need every year and every mint mark. The 1991 P dime is an essential piece in that puzzle. Without it, a collection is incomplete. That constant demand adds value to this coin, and the better the condition, the higher the value goes. Even though millions were struck, collectors know that quality is what matters most. That is why the 1991 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark can be valuable, and why you should never dismiss it as just pocket change. The story of the 1991 Roosevelt dime also shows how modern coins can carry unexpected value. Many people assume that only old silver coins or rare early dates are worth collecting, but the truth is that even modern dimes like this one can be worth more than face value if they are in the right condition. Collectors today appreciate coins from every decade, and the 1991 Roosevelt dime is part of that demand. It serves as a reminder that valuable coins are not always ancient or silver. Sometimes they are right in front of us, dated 1991, with a small P mint mark that makes all the difference. So if you find a 1991 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark, take the time to look closely. Check the details, see how sharp the coin looks, and consider setting it aside if it appears uncirculated or near uncirculated. These coins are valuable to collectors, and their worth goes beyond the 10 cents stamped on them. The market rewards rarity, condition, and demand, and the 1991 P Roosevelt dime has all the ingredients to be a valuable part of a collection. Many collectors will happily pay more for a quality example, and that is why you should not overlook it. In the end, the 1991 Roosevelt one dime with P mint mark is far more than just small change. It is a coin with historical context, collector demand, and real potential value. Whether you find one in circulation, in a coin roll, or in your family's old collection, it is always worth examining carefully. Collectors seek these coins, especially in higher grades, and that demand makes them valuable. The next time you hold a dime from 1991 with the Philadelphia P mint mark, remember that it is not just a dime. It is a piece of numismatic history that can be worth much more than its face value, and that makes it truly valuable. Next up, the 1989 Roosevelt 1 dime with the P mint mark may look like just another piece of change in your pocket, but this coin is actually much more important than most people realize. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1989, this Roosevelt dime carries both historical value and collector demand, which makes it a coin worth holding on to. Even though its face value is only 10 cents, the 1989 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark can be valuable depending on its condition, rarity, and higher grades, and whether it carries any special minting varieties. Many people spend these coins without ever taking the time to look closely, but collectors know that this is a coin worth paying attention to. The design of the 1989 Roosevelt dime follows the same design introduced in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt. On the obverse side, we see his portrait, a reminder of his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse side is the torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. While this design may be familiar to everyone, each year and mint mark creates its own unique entry in the Roosevelt dime series. For collectors who want to build a complete collection, the 1989 P. Roosevelt dime is a necessary piece, and that steady demand adds to its value. Millions of 1989 dimes were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but survival in top condition is where the real challenge lies. Circulation wears coins down quickly, and most of the dimes from 1989 show scratches, nicks, and loss of detail from everyday use. That is why a sharp, uncirculated 1989 P. Roosevelt dime is far more desirable and valuable than the heavily circulated example. Collectors will pay much more for coins that retain their original shine, their luster, and their crisp details. While the average person sees just a dime, collectors see an opportunity when a 1989 P. Roosevelt dime is preserved in high grade. Another reason the 1989 Roosevelt dime with P. mint mark can be valuable is the possibility of error coins. Mistakes at the mint, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks, can transform an ordinary dime into a rare and collectible piece. These kinds of error coins are always in demand, and they often sell for far more than face value. That means even if your 1989 dime looks ordinary, it is worth examining closely, because hidden errors could turn it into a valuable rarity. Collectors hunt for these varieties, and when they are found on a coin like the 1989 P dime, they make the coin especially desirable. Condition and preservation are key factors when it comes to value. Most people don't think about saving modern dimes, but high-grade coins are always harder to find as years pass. Many of the 1989 Roosevelt dimes with P mint mark were tossed into circulation and handled thousands of times. A bright, uncirculated coin stands out because so few remain in that state. Collectors want those examples, and they are willing to pay more for them. This is why it is always smart to check your change carefully, because spotting a 1989 P. Roosevelt dime in top condition can put you in possession of a valuable coin. Even though the 1989 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark was not struck in silver, it is still collectible for its place in the Roosevelt dime series and its importance to anyone assembling a complete set. Value is not always about precious metal content. In numismatics, rarity, condition, and demand matter just as much, if not more. The 1989 P dime has all of these qualities, and that is why it is valuable. Collectors know that as time goes on, fewer pristine examples survive, and that pushes up interest in the ones that do. The Philadelphia Mint's P mint mark makes this dime distinct from those minted in Denver or San Francisco in the same year. Collectors track mint marks closely, and they want coins from every mint in order to complete their sets. Without the 1989 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark, a Roosevelt dime collection is incomplete. That built-in demand ensures that this coin has collector interest today and will continue to have it in the future. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced numismatist, the 1989 P dime is a coin worth recognizing as valuable. Another aspect of the 1989 Roosevelt dime's value comes from its connection to the late 1980s era of coin production. During this time, the U.S. Mint was producing high volumes of coins, but quality control sometimes allowed small imperfections to pass through. This is why collectors carefully examine coins from 1989 with a P mint mark, always looking for differences that might indicate an error or variety. These small details can mean the difference between a dime worth 10 cents and one that is worth several dollars or more to the right collector. What makes this coin even more appealing is that it is still relatively modern, meaning you can realistically find it in circulation today. That is what excites collectors and casual coin hunters alike. The chance that something valuable could be sitting in your pocket change or coin jar right now. The 1989 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark proves that valuable coins are not only found in old collections or in rare silver issues. Modern copper-nickel dimes can also be worth more than face value, and this dime is an excellent example of that. So when you come across a dime dated 1989 with the P mint mark, take a closer look. Check the condition, examine the details, and don't underestimate it. These coins are valuable to collectors because of their place in the Roosevelt dime series, their potential as era coins, and their scarcity in higher grades. Many people ignore them, but the truth is that the 1989 P Roosevelt dime is worth far more attention than it usually gets. If you have one in excellent condition, it could be worth more than you realize, and holding on to it could be a smart decision for the future. The bottom line is clear. The 1989 Roosevelt 1 dime with P mint mark is valuable. It may not look like much to the average person, but to collectors it represents history, rarity, and demand. Whether preserved in high grade, discovered with a mint error, or simply needed to fill a spot in a collection, this coin has real value beyond its face value. The next time you see a 1989 Roosevelt dime with a Philadelphia mint mark, remember that it is not just another dime. It is a collectible piece of numismatic history that deserves attention and can be far more valuable than 10 cents. Next up, the 1990 Roosevelt 1 dime with the D mint mark is a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but in reality, it is a collectible piece with value that extends far beyond its small face value of just 10 cents. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint in 1990, and the D mint mark gives it a distinct identity that makes it an essential part of the Roosevelt dime series. Even though millions were produced, the 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark can be valuable depending on condition, rarity in high grades, and the interest of collectors, who are always searching for quality examples. Many people overlook this coin in their pocket change, but if you take the time to look closely, you may discover that you are holding onto something worth much more than just a dime. The design of the 1990 Roosevelt dime is the same iconic design that has been used since 1946, featuring the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse. This design was introduced to honor Roosevelt shortly after his passing, in recognition of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse of the coin, the design shows a torch with an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. While this design is familiar, each year of issue and each mint mark gives the coin its own place in numismatic history. The 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark is no exception, and for collectors of the series, it is a coin they must have to complete a set. That demand is part of what makes this coin valuable. The Denver Mint struck millions of Roosevelt dimes in 1990, but the large mintage does not mean that all coins are equal. Most coins entered circulation and experienced years of wear and handling, which reduced their quality. A typical 1990 Roosevelt dime found in change today will often show scratches, dullness, and loss of detail. Collectors, however, place a premium on coins that remain sharp, bright, and well-preserved. That is why an uncirculated 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark is worth much more than the heavily circulated one. Condition is everything in coin collecting, and the scarcity of high-grade examples is what drives value. Another important factor that makes the 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark valuable is the possibility of mint errors and varieties. The minting process, while precise, can sometimes produce mistakes. Errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or die cracks can turn an otherwise ordinary dime into a rare collectible. These error coins are highly sought after, and their value often climbs far above face value. That is why it is always worth taking a closer look at your 1990 Roosevelt dimes, because a small mistake from the Denver Mint could mean you have something truly rare and valuable in your hands. Collectors are also interested in coins like the 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark because of the historical period they represent. The early 1990s were a time of modernization in minting technology, yet the traditional designs of U.S. coinage continued. Coins from this era may not seem ancient, but they are already more than 3 decades old, and their collectability continues to grow with time. As fewer high-quality examples remain in circulation, the ones that are preserved become even more valuable. That is why setting aside a sharp 1990 dime today can be a smart choice for the future. The 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark was struck in a copper-nickel composition with no silver content, yet this does not reduce its collectible value. Many people mistakenly think only silver coins are worth more than face value, but in reality, numismatic value comes from rarity, demand, and condition. Modern copper-nickel dimes like the 1990 D can be worth much more than face value because collectors want them in top grades and because certain varieties or errors are scarce. The absence of silver does not take away from the fact that this coin is valuable in the eyes of collectors. Another point that makes the 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark valuable is its necessity for completing Roosevelt dime collections. Collectors who build sets by date and mint mark cannot skip this coin, and that steady demand means it will always have collector interest. Every year and every mint mark adds to the completeness of a set, and without the 1990 D dime, a collection is missing an essential piece. That built-in demand ensures that this coin will always be valuable to coin collectors. Over the years, many 1990 Roosevelt dimes with D mint mark have been lost to circulation, damage, or neglect. That makes the surviving high-quality examples even more desirable. Coins that retain their original luster, sharp strike, and minimal marks stand out, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. If you happen to find a coin from 1990 with the D mint mark that looks almost new, you should definitely hold on to it, because these coins are valuable in that condition. The 1990 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark proves that modern coins can carry hidden value. While it is easy to assume that only old silver coins or rare early dates are worth collecting, the reality is that coins from the 1990s are already becoming harder to find in top grades, and collectors are recognizing their importance. A coin that seems common today can quickly rise in value as demand increases and supply decreases. That is why it is important not to underestimate the 1990 D dime. The bottom line is clear. The 1990 Roosevelt 1 dime with D mint mark is a valuable coin. It may look like a simple 10-cent piece to most people, but its historical importance, its role in the Roosevelt dime series, the premium attached to high-grade examples, and the possibility of rare mint errors all contribute to its true value. The next time you come across a dime dated 1990 with the D mint mark, remember that you could be holding onto a collectible coin worth more than its face value. Collectors know its worth, and if you have one in excellent condition, you should treat it as a valuable piece of numismatic history. Next up, the 1973 Roosevelt 1 dime with no mint mark is a coin that many people overlook, but it is a coin that carries real value for collectors and should not be underestimated. When we talk about the 1973 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark, we are talking about the version struck at the Philadelphia Mint because the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on dimes during that time. While the coin only has a face value of 10 cents, the truth is that the 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark can be worth much more than its denomination depending on its condition, preservation, and the attention it receives from collectors. Every Roosevelt dime is a piece of American numismatic history, and this coin is no exception. The design of the 1973 Roosevelt dime continues the tradition started in 1946, when the dime was redesigned to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His portrait appears on the obverse of the coin, showing the profile of one of America's most influential leaders, who guided the country through the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse, the coin carries the iconic design featuring the Torch of Liberty, flanked by the olive branch symbolizing peace, and the oak branch symbolizing strength. This design, simple but powerful, has become one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. Collectors value the 1973 Roosevelt dime, with no mint mark, not only for its monetary worth, but also for the historical connection to Roosevelt's legacy. What makes the 1973 Roosevelt dime, with no mint mark, valuable is not just its design, but also the fact that many of these coins were put into circulation and used in everyday commerce. Circulated examples often show heavy wear, scratches, and loss of detail. Because of this, high-quality coins from 1973 that remain sharp, lustrous, and well-preserved are scarce and much more desirable. Collectors pay premiums for coins in uncirculated condition, and coins that grade at the higher end of the scale can be worth much more than 10 cents. This is why people are always on the lookout for the 1973 Roosevelt dime, with no mint mark, in the best condition possible, because these coins are valuable. Another factor that adds to the value of the 1973 Roosevelt dime, with no mint mark, is the possibility of error coins. During the minting process, mistakes can occur, and when they do, they create coins that are very rare. Collectors love these errors, whether they are double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other unusual varieties. If you discover a 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark that has one of these mint errors, its value can rise significantly. Error coins are a fascinating part of coin collecting because they transform an ordinary dime into a rare and valuable collectible. That is why anyone who finds a 1973 dime with no mint mark should take a careful look at it, because the coin may be far more valuable than they first assume. The Philadelphia Mint produced a large number of dimes in 1973, but quantity does not mean every coin is the same. The true value comes from condition, rarity of varieties, and collector demand. Over time, millions of these coins have been lost, damaged, or worn down through circulation. The surviving examples in pristine shape stand out, and that scarcity is what makes them valuable. Every collector knows that coins from the 1970s are now over 50 years old, and with each passing decade, the number of well-preserved examples decreases. That natural process of attrition means the 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark will continue to grow in importance to collectors. Even though the 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark is made of a copper-nickel clad composition and not silver, it is still valuable. Many people believe only silver coins have extra value, but this is not true. Collectors build complete sets by date and mint mark, and to complete a set, the 1973 no mint mark dime is absolutely necessary. Its role in filling a gap in collections ensures steady demand. Add to this the fact that high-grade examples are scarce, and the coin's value becomes clear. The absence of silver content does not lessen its collectible appeal. Instead, it highlights that true numismatic value is about rarity, condition, and demand, not just precious metal. Another reason the 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark is valuable is that it represents a specific time in U.S. history. In 1973, America was going through major political, social, and economic changes, and coins from this era reflect that period. For collectors, owning a 1973 dime is more than holding money. It is holding a piece of the past. Each coin carries the story of the time it was made, and that historical connection adds to its collectible value. When you hold a 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, you are holding a coin that has traveled through decades of American life, making it valuable not only in monetary terms, but also as a piece of history. When looking at the 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, it is also important to recognize how quickly modern coins can become collectibles. Many people underestimate coins from the 1970s, thinking they are too recent to have value. But collectors know that coins do not need to be centuries old to be valuable. In fact, coins like the 1973 no mint mark dime are already becoming harder to find in top condition. As the number of collectors grows and more people search for coins to complete their Roosevelt dime sets, demand continues to increase, and value goes up. That is why this coin should never be ignored, because the 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark is valuable today and will likely be even more valuable in the future. The long-lasting design of the Roosevelt dime also plays into the coin's collectability. Because the design did not change for decades, The only way collectors can distinguish one year from another is through the date and the mint mark. That makes each year and mint mark a necessary piece of the puzzle. If you want a complete run of Roosevelt dimes, you cannot skip over 1973, and you cannot skip over the Philadelphia no mint mark dime. That constant demand ensures that the coin retains its value. Even coins that appear ordinary are essential to building a collection, which makes them valuable in ways that casual observers do not always realize. In summary, the 1973 Roosevelt 1 dime with no mint mark is a coin that is valuable for multiple reasons. It is valuable because collectors need it to complete their sets. It is valuable because high-quality examples are scarce after decades of circulation. It is valuable because mint errors and varieties can turn it into a rare treasure. It is valuable because it connects us to a specific period in American history. And it is valuable because collectors recognize the long-term importance of even modern copper-nickel-clad coins. The next time you come across a 1973 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, do not dismiss it as just another dime. Instead, recognize that this is a collectible coin with real value, a coin worth holding on to, and a coin that plays an important role in the larger story of American coinage. And that brings us to the end of this detailed look at all of these valuable Roosevelt 1 dimes. Each of these dimes, whether it is from the 1970s, 1980s, or 1990s, proves that coins many people think of as ordinary pocket change can actually be worth much more than face value. These Roosevelt dimes are valuable, they are collectible, and they hold real importance in American numismatic history. If you enjoyed learning about these coins, then you will definitely want to continue your coin collecting journey by watching my previous video on Jefferson nickels, where I go into detail about the history, value, and key dates of that classic U.S. coin series. That video is packed with information that every collector will find useful, and I highly recommend you watch it next so you don't miss out. And before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. By subscribing to my channel, you'll stay updated with every new video I upload about rare and valuable coins. You'll learn how to spot hidden treasures in your change, and you'll never miss important information that can help you grow your collection. So please, watch my previous video on Jefferson nickels, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything, and it helps me bring you more valuable coin content every week.